flood. La, 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 la.
This was not meant to happen. This could not happen. This is happening.
What?
Slop. Na 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 na. Slop. What an episode we have for, especially for Adam today. Let's be honest, the rest of us don't really care. We don't give a shit. Because we know we got bigger things to worry about. But this is a special episode for Adam. He's got the scarf, he's got the jacket, he's got the jersey, the fucking
Got it
hat.
on. I'm sweating, but it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
How can you put your emotions today into words?
I can't. I still can't. I'm lost for words. I've been just watching videos all day on my phone of just celebrations. You know what? I decided to watch it today from the comfort of my own home, which I think now when I look at it was maybe a bit of a mistake because I've seen the atmosphere everywhere. Sydney City was pumping, the casino, sports bar, wherever you wanted to go. Everyone was looking for us to claim the 20th title, and we did. This morning, we did. Unfortunately, it was against the mighty Spurs, yours and Stephen's mighty Spurs. But you did mention you didn't watch a game this morning because, you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen.
We got bigger things to worry about than finishing 16th in the league anyway. We survived when Newcastle beat Ipswich, so we've survived relegation, so we can just worry about the Europa League now. But listen, we'll worry about that when the time comes. This is a dedicated episode just for you. Just for you.
It was fantastic. The scenes were buzzing, coming into the stadium this morning. They'd already done the big, it wasn't even a parade. The city was just going wild already for the bus to enter in before they even got to Anfield.
Hey, imagine that last part.
I know. Can you imagine? And then when the silence when Solanke scored first was just, you could hear a pin drop.
We haven't scored from a corner in about 3 years. Solanke hasn't scored from a corner since he was at Bournemouth.
I know. Ex-Liverpool player. Why not? Just stir the pot a little bit. Make it a little bit more entertaining.
Make it a bit interesting, He's preparing and warming up for Thursday's game.
It did, yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully he's in form. If we actually flash back just off topic a little bit, I think I put him down as my I thought he was going to be my golden boot for the end of the season.
So he's helping you. You're buzzing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to get through our predictions and stuff like that at the end of the season. But I mean, the league title's already wrapped up. Obviously, there's still top four or top five now because there's still to play for. But obviously, the big news coming overnight: Liverpool have won the Premier League title for the second time in their history.
Absolutely, it was great. It was a great morning. You know what? Liverpool fans will even come out and say this. No one predicted this to happen. Klopp finished up at the end of last year, and everyone was worried who was going to replace him. And that no one was ever going to, replace him. It was, it was huge. It was huge. It was massive.
What do you think of the claims that wasn't the strongest Premier League season? Do you care?
Well, there were a few teams that gave us a run for our money, and there were a lot of competitive games and stuff. But it got to a certain point where I think other teams were just,
rubbish,
losing silly games and they were dropping points, and that was the only reason why. And then there was that period where we were just on a hot run, and it was just too hard to come back from, I think. But I do like how it's kind of exciting now for Europe, a little bit now, at least towards the end of the season. But yeah, I know, it's a bonus for as a Liverpool fan, but we were out clear for some time. So, but yeah, I think it was obviously a good season for us, but I think it'd be definitely 50-50 for any supporters to maybe say even of the Premier League. So it's a tough one.
Because obviously we'll dive deeper into the Premier League season in a few weeks' time, right?
Yeah.
Obviously we want to speak about Liverpool winning their, I know I said second Premier League title, which technically it is, but obviously the 20th title all up makes them the most, equal most titles in England with Manchester United.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, Arne Slot coming in first season, you didn't think not many people would have thought they would have the season they did this year.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Especially the way that City, haven't been the Manchester City of old. Everyone would have probably thought as soon as maybe Roger got injured, it would be Arsenal's year to win. But Liverpool, they showed up every game.
We did. And I think, no disrespect to Slot, but there was even a couple of people, when he came in, had no idea actually who he was. Not too many people were watching the Dutch league, even though he did so good with Feyenoord and stuff. It was a name that not many people have heard about. But man, he came in and he hit the ground running. It was just straight away, just back to back to back. And he stepped it up. I mean, we weren't, we were unlucky in the other tournaments and stuff like that, but we were very consistent in the Premier League this season. And for him to come in, also not do too much business in the transfer windows. The only person we bought him was Chiesa, and he's only played really a handful of games due to injury and stuff like that. And, he was also lucky that he came into a team that, was quite stable, and the culture of the team was also really strong. So I think that worked in his favour a little bit. But different league, he came into something, and he also had a tough job ahead of him. But he did that.
That's what I think as well. Obviously, I mean, new manager coming in, you'd expect him to make maybe a couple of signings, but I think he probably looked at the squad and said, "Look, I can do a job enough with the players already. I want to see what's what before I start. If I bring someone in, it means I have to get rid of someone, right, to make way for him." So he probably looked at the squad because it's a strong enough squad at the moment. And I want to see what's what and see what it actually is, and then reassess at the end of the season where I can probably improve and what players I can probably bring in. Yeah. But as the season went on, like usually you probably see maybe a couple of signings in January and whatnot, but as the season went on, it was just, who's going to stop them? Who's going to stop them? And he probably didn't want to change much, and they just kept on rolling and ended up winning the league with, 3-4 games to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think got a couple of stats here as we do, but we'll save them for a bit later on as we do. But we'll go back to the game itself. But yeah, Solanke obviously put that early goal in, but to Liverpool's credit, that didn't last too long. I think it was about 4 minutes later, and Diaz equalised. And then it was just one up to the other, and we just bombarded a little bit. So, and we went into the break up at 3-1, and it was just, in that point, momentum was a little bit hard. And, coming into the game, Liverpool only needed a point, a draw or a win. So we just made it happen in the second half, and it was just consistency, and, you made the right subs again. But I think Spurs are just really struggling, man. You guys are in a bit of a hole. I don't know, just watching the game today. It was just, Liverpool played good, but it was just errors, man. It was unfortunate errors from the back and stuff.
Ange made 8 changes in our last Premier League game, right?
Yeah.
8 changes.
Yeah.
And that's the most ever changes from one Premier League game to another the Spurs have ever done in the history. Right?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, but again, what have we got to play for?
Yeah.
Who are we to think that, especially this season, to go, if we play our full strength team, we're going to go to Liverpool and win. Regardless, right? We've got to. No. We genuinely have a big game on Thursday, which is the semi-final. What are we going to go there and risk injuries for? We've already seen huge how injuries have affected our season this year already.
Yeah.
What's the point of going to get a result so we can come 16th?
Yeah. And you know what? And you guys, even though it's been a bit of a shaky season, you guys were quite fortunate about who you actually drew in the semi-finals. So I think, he was right about the subs that he made, and he just needs to hit the ground running in that first game this week. Yeah, absolutely. You need to
wrap it
take
up
your chances, and absolutely.
You know what's going to be wild too, because you got Bilbao against United in the other semi-final. The final is in Bilbao Stadium.
Oh, is it really?
It's in Bilbao Stadium too. So Bilbao can make the final and play in front of their home fans in their own stadium too. So that'd be wild for them.
I don't understand that, but why wouldn't they just do a generic?
They could. Well, they obviously elect the stadium at the start of the season, right?
I guess so. You never know who's going to finish up.
Stuff like that. You can't tell Flow Rider to go from, you're going to go to Bilbao, and then next minute, we're going to change the stadium to somewhere else.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can't interrupt him. But let me tell you, let's talk about Liverpool. We won the 20th title.
Yeah.
Who's been your player of the season?
It would probably be out of 2, I think. And I'm just going to lean more towards him because he's my personal favourite player on the team. But it was between probably McAllister and Van Dijk. McAllister's had an unbelievable season, I think, in controlling that midfield. You had Gravenberch now that's a bit more defensive, whereas McAllister was that last year. So now he's got to shine a little bit more as a 8 and pushing a little bit as a 10 as well. So between the three of those, Szoboszlai, McAllister and Gravenberch, but I think McAllister's been that standout. He's put away goals, assisted, his work rate. He's been injury-free for most of the season as well. He's played a lot of minutes, but he's a standout. And, he had an unbelievable goal this morning. But for me, it's probably just going to be Van Dijk. But he just, him and Salah obviously just re-signed now, and they kept everyone on the edge of their toes for a little bit. But for his age and like the performances this guy puts in, week out, he's unbelievable, man. I think it's just he would be irreplaceable, really, for sort of any squad that sort of has him. Just for what he's done in the team, he's a leader. The way he's done it, I think, he's been consistent in and out. So I think people, doubted him when he came back from his injuries a little bit now, but I think this year just showed that that is really just a standout and one of the best centre halves in the world. So I definitely say Van Dijk's probably got it for me this year.
Who do you think's been your like the breakthrough player? Because obviously you mentioned Gravenberch there as well. I reckon for me he's probably been the breakthrough player for Liverpool this season.
Oh yeah, no one would expect that. But I think coming into last year or coming into this season, everyone talked about we needed to get a 6, we needed a midfielder, blah blah blah, and we even went in I think for Zubimendi, and then it didn't work out. So it was probably between Gravenberch and Endo. So they started to play Gravenberch a little bit. Unbelievable. No one, I think, expected what he was performing in and out every week.
Because obviously you're throwing big money at Caicedo as well. Obviously,
massive.
Chelsea, I mean, now look, if you're Caicedo, you're probably thinking picked the wrong team.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I think for me, he's probably been the breakthrough player of the season for you guys.
Great player. I think he just fits perfectly into the system for what he does. He's definitely been a standout. I think probably even surprised himself, really, for how well he's actually done this season. But yeah, isn't that funny about Caicedo? I think next week they have to do the Guard of Honor, and he was supposed to be playing for Liverpool.
He's not joining. He'll put his jersey back the line there.
Yeah, so I think, look, it was a very convincing season for Liverpool. I think they really showed they were a powerhouse. I don't know what's sort of next for Liverpool now. Do you go into the transfer market? Do you try to spend big? Do you stick with what you have? I think there's a couple of players that they were talking about potentially not even come to the end of the contract. Maybe they're just not up to the standards or haven't performed as well as others, and they might try to bring in some fresh talent. I mean, now that they've sort of won, it's one of those things now. You've got the pick of the lot. Most people are going to probably want to come to Liverpool.
I think you'll definitely go into the market for a couple of reasons, right? First of all, especially in the Premier League next year, the eyes are going to be on you.
Yeah.
Right? Eyes are going to be on Arne Slot. The pressure is going to be even more now on Arne Slot to see if he can go back to back or even have another competitive season, right? So you need that quality. But you mentioned obviously before you've been like with McAllister more, but the whole squad have been pretty fortunate that there hasn't been an injury crisis or anything like that. The players have been pretty fit.
Yeah.
However, I think you have a look, obviously, I'm going to call it the early exit in the Champions League. You could probably have done with a bit more depth. And I want to by depth, more that quality, European quality, then to also compete in Europe as well, because probably didn't have it. I know Slot was complaining that you come first in the new Champions League format in the league and you pull a team like, PSG.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you come first, no one wants to draw you.
Yeah.
So you should be looking at that game going, I don't care who we draw, we're going to win, right?
Yeah.
But I think that probably spoke volumes to the strength and the depth in the Liverpool squad. And that's where I probably think you probably will go to market just to have that strength coming off the bench. I thought Chiesa obviously was one of those types of signings.
Yeah.
But you're going to need more. And I guess the last thing is obviously the future of Trent.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to need to find a ready-made replacement for Trent.
Well, the whole thing was maybe towards the end of the season where he wasn't getting as much game time, and Bradley was coming in to see if he potentially could be that right back to sort of cover him instead of maybe going and spending money on the market. Look, you're probably never going to replace Trent's passing ability, but Bradley's probably a close second, I think, if you were going to play him. But he's now gotten injured towards the end of the season, so it's one of those things now that you don't know what's going to happen. look, it's, everyone's about 80% chance that he's probably going to leave, but he hasn't come out yet that he's going. So we'll wait and see what Trent's going to do. But
he's not going to say anything. I think he would probably have too much respect for Liverpool to come out during the season and say, I'm off. See you later.
Yeah.
But I think if it does go, obviously you've experimented refilling his position. But again, you're going to refill him with that strength and that depth anyway. You're going to bring somebody else for that depth on the bench. So I think that they're the three reasons why. Obviously, one being the Trent thing, but obviously the strength and depth for the European competitions, and the fact that all eyes are going to be on Liverpool next year, right?
Yeah, I think
that's the big pressure is going to be in the sense that obviously everyone's talking about it wasn't a strong league this year and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think the way for Liverpool to shut those claims up is to go back out next year and have another strong season. Because if they crumble next year, everyone will go, see, last year was just a one-off, it was a fluke, right?
Yeah.
But if they go out and have a strong season, I'm not saying win it, but, come top four, be competitive, I think those claims and what people are screaming out, they'll quieten down very quickly.
I think also a few teams, as we mentioned earlier, just had an off season. I think you're going to get, Man Cities are going to probably potentially come back. Newcastle, strong team. Chelsea, you never know. It's one of those things. I think there's definitely going to be more of a run for their money at the top of the league. Even Forest, if they do it, bounce back and do it again, you just never know. So I think that it's going to definitely be more competitive. I think Liverpool was just very consistent early on and just took advantage. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But let me ask you one question. One question I'll go for you. Is Mo Salah going to be Player of the Year?
No.
Who would you give it to?
I can't.
Who would you give it to?
The year's not finished yet. The year's not finished yet. So I will
say he wins. Say he wins Golden Boot and he gets the most assists in the season.
Look, there's always that debate online of the Salah versus Hazard. And obviously, we've spoken about on the pod previously and stuff like that. Again, I believe he's a stats bandit. I think he's... You watch a full 90 minutes and just watch Salah.
Yeah.
He does nothing.
He mentioned it today, actually, in one of the interviews that he had not even requested, but Slot has worked it out how he can be so much more attacking and that he's actually not required to come back defensively. So Liverpool's counter-attack is really strong.
Yeah, but even in the build-up and, I was looking up some stats before, in the last 3 games, he's had 1 successful cross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Technically, he's not the best player and stuff like that. However, if you're looking at the season on a piece of paper and stats, he has to be in the question. But if you're actually watching the football and watching over total 90 minutes, he's not... I don't want to say he's not effective because he is. He gets the goals, he gets the assists, right? He pops up with them. But over the course of 90 minutes, he's not a player that you can rely on all the time. Technically, he's not that good.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at a perspective like that, and that's why I'm saying I don't think he should be the player of the season.
Mm-hmm. I will. This year, particularly, he's blown out of the roof of, there haven't been amazing goals, but he's found himself in those positions all the time. And you know what, Liverpool maybe... It's a good chance that we actually probably wouldn't be in the situation we're in without him this year, which is sort of crazy to say. Well, his form's been, a bit slower, a bit poorer over the last probably 5 to 7 games recently. But
because you look at his stats and you go, okay, well, he should be in the question with, Ronaldo, Messi, Bale, those, Neymar. But no one will ever bother having that conversation because people deep down recognise that, he's not at that level, right? And he needs to do more over the 90 minutes. Stop losing easy possession in build-up. Stop losing easy passes. Win more of his on one-on-one battles. Do more defensively as well to become a more all-round player.
Well, I think that's another thing now because his stats, his goals and assists have been so high this season. You're disregarding sometimes the performances, right? Where there's been a few games for sure this year where he should have been brought off the pitch and been substituted 1,000%. But because of the chance of Mo potentially getting a penalty or something happening, that one-off moment in the game, they leave him on the whole time. Where if you've got Chiesa that's not playing the minutes, or you've got Jota or Darwin that doesn't play because he's on the pitch for the whole 90 minutes. So that's happened quite a few times this year.
But that's where you have a look at the players around him And and I think they understand that and recognise that, hey, I've got to do more to cover for him.
Yeah.
He's going to lose possession of the ball. He's going to not help out hugely in defence.
Yeah.
But he's got to come up with the one goal that we need in the 89th minute, right?
Yeah.
So the players in and around him, behind him defensively in the midfield, go, you know what? If you're going to score that one goal against that 1-0 win, I'll do all the other work.
Yeah.
You lose the ball, I'll track back for you. I'll make a tackle. If you miss a tackle, I'll come and cover for you, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's got the respect of his colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there was many talks of. I know, obviously, him re-signing and trying to go somewhere else, but I don't really think there were many other clubs really interested.
Well, not if you're going to think at the top of his age, potential salary that he wanted. I think it was just stuff like that. But
you look at his numbers, right? You look at his numbers and you go, well, he's the best player currently, right?
Yeah.
You look at, Real Madrid were hunting Mbappe for years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can see, just him in general play, he's just always a threat. He's keeping the ball. He's quick. He's got that about him.
Yeah.
But you didn't have that with Salah. And I think he was more arguing with Liverpool that he still deserves that kind of money. And Liverpool was saying, well, no one else is going for you.
Yeah.
Why should we give you that money? And I think eventually, obviously, they come to an agreement, right?
Yeah.
But that's why they didn't. That's why he didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think Van Dijk, on the other hand, could probably go and do a job in another league for a big team.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not Salah. But that's the only reason why I wouldn't give Salah the player of the season. Who I would give player of the season to? I don't know. It's tough because obviously you look at Liverpool. Obviously they've won the league. You think obviously the player of the season should come from the from the league winners. But
I think it's more.
It'd be
There's
always been a standout. There's always been a standout players from other teams that have won Player of the Year. But I'm also thinking considering that every other team has been poor. But what other team has really gone? What player has really gone? I should have Player of the Year.
I think the only one that really comes to mind, it's just you're more of maybe off numbers, but excitement. And I think everyone wants a bit of him at the moment. I think it's probably Isak from Newcastle, potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe the only one. Every team wants a number 9, and he's the only one that everyone always talks about. So I would maybe say him. He's had a pretty good season for how Newcastle's been going. And was a big part of them winning that cup as well. So I'd probably, I'd maybe say that's another shout, but I think just from Salah's name and notoriety and everything and just maybe what he's done this season, and he makes it exciting. That's what it is. And I think maybe he did a solid job for Liverpool this year. So maybe I would say maybe that's why he's one of the top contenders to win it.
Yeah.
If you're looking at full player performance, maybe you'd consider someone else, but I think they'd probably just go off that. But 20th title, we'll take it. It was a sensational morning. It was a good day. I've had no sleep. It's been unbelievable.
About sleep, man. You should be catching the flight out to Anfield, mate.
Well, now I know. Well, beginning of next season, I'm waiting for the fixtures to come out.
Don't worry.
Book my flights.
You should have gone to the game this morning.
I did. I saw a couple of people on social media that I knew that actually went. I don't know if that was by chance or that literally booked it last minute and just gone.
No, you even just go to be outside the stadium because you saw the amount of people.
It was unbelievable.
Anyway.
Unbelievable.
So
the tickets would have been a fortune. They would have jumped up like crazy for that game.
100%. People that would have had tickets, they would have been resold to other people for a double the amount.
Yeah, I think the Palace game at the end of the season is when they actually get the trophy at Anfield. So I think that will be another one.
So they've got Chelsea next week, which is away.
Yeah.
They've then got Arsenal at home.
Yep. I can't remember who was second last year, and then we've got Palace.
Palace is the last home game.
Yeah. There was only 4. Yeah, we won it with 4 games remaining.
So they'll get a trophy at Palace against Palace.
Yeah, at Anfield. Yeah.
That game will just be the game is in the way of a presentation.
I'll be curious to know, right? Even though there's 4 games left, of what type of players he'll put on the pitch. He'll get rest time.
It's one of those things where the job's done, right? Now the manager will still say he'll still celebrate and obviously do that. But then he'll have to try and pull their heads in for 90-minute performances to go, listen, yes, the job's done, but we can't just kick our feet up now.
Yeah.
You have to go out there
and
and put a performance in, right?
Yeah, make a statement.
And it's hard, especially as a player going, well, we've won the league, we've done everything. We don't need to. Why do I need to go out there now and put in? And I think they'll probably lose 1 or 2% in the performances because they've already won the league.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to be hard for Arne Slot in the sense that, like, we've won the league, you've done celebrations, you've sung Jurgen Klopp's name already yourself.
Yeah.
But then you got next week, you turn around and say, listen, I need you to go out there and win. You know what I mean? Like,
actually, news came out that I'm happy about, but I'm also not annoyed about, but I think it's not necessary. But Liverpool got announced to come to Australia to verse A-League All-Stars. Tickets and stuff haven't come out yet, but they've talked about it because they didn't make it, obviously, to the Champions League final. So they've got that period like Spurs had last year. So they're doing that thing that it's back-to-back right after the season starts. So it's like, that's my point of where I don't think it's a good idea. Is just like let them have the rest and just enjoy it. But my team's coming to Australia, which is unreal. So I'll probably go. I think it's going to be the MCG. So obviously they're trying to pack that stadium, this and that. But and then who's going to also come too, right? So I don't.
They'll pack it out. Look, they're contractually obliged to probably come, right?
Yeah.
However, I would not blame them if 3 or 4 of them the last game of the season. Poor hamstring. At least today. Hamstring.
Because my physio's in the Maldives.
Exactly.
Can't.
So I wouldn't blame them. They've had a big season. Media scrutiny. They obviously the fitness they've got to maintain and everything. The travel that they're already doing. They don't get a break as it is. Give them their rest. They're going to come all the way to the other side of the world.
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, Spurs played their players. One that did come played half the game anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. Blame them. You know what I mean?
Was that at the MCG?
That was
when they came? Yeah.
And the MCG as well. So look probably for a pre-season tournament, but is that too close to the season where you want to be back in England, back in your home, and actually start preparing for the season? It's hard. You know what I mean? I think the happy medium is probably. As soon as the season finishes, do what you got to do. Go have your holidays. But the start of the pre-season, that's when you do these little trips. So then you can finish your pre-season back at where you need to be, ready for the round 1.
Yeah, it doesn't really give much of a break, does it? Oh, well.
No.
What do you do? And that's it.
That's where they get paid the big bucks.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So I don't know. I'll be going to that for sure. But
you can by yourself.
They won't be thrilled to be there, but I'll be thrilled to be there. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Hey, listen, hopefully a couple of the boys we've had on the podcast for the A-League will be in the A-League All-Stars team.
Yeah. Would be unreal.
If you wouldn't mind giving us some pitch-side tickets, that would be
unreal.
Nice.
Some Western United players.
And I'll come down my A-League All-Stars jersey. You can stand in the sheds, in the stands.
Yeah. We'll get some media passes. Try and make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
We'll see.
So when's that? That'll be what?
20. It's like the end of May, start of June weekend. I think it's like the 30th to the 1st of June or something over that weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, those tickets are going to go like hotcakes. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you reckon they'll bring the Premier League trophy?
Can you imagine? Just sit right there on the bench, mate. On the bench.
Take it home?
Yeah. Slot can stand up, just right on his seat, mate. Just leave it there. Unreal.
No,
absolutely not. It's in the cabinets, mate. In the cabinets, number 20.
What's the point of that? You got to parade it around.
Yeah, someone steals it. Imagine.
Be mad.
Be unreal.
Bravo.
So I think we'd probably leave it off there. But congratulations to Liverpool, 20th title, unbelievable. It was a fantastic day for myself and all the rest of the Liverpool supporters around the world. A couple other things.
It's a good day for you guys. I mean, we've obviously had conversations with other Liverpool supporters in the past where you guys have obviously been through such a hard time. It's difficult being a Liverpool supporter when you had to play Benteke in a trial game against Port Vale one year. And you guys have been through such a hard time. You know, you guys just really enjoy it. It's it must be so tough being a Liverpool supporter. 20 Premier League titles. And it must have been a hard time. So, enjoy it. You know?
100%. I am. I'm actually not going to take this off until the next season. Until they come to Melbourne.
Shower with it.
Until they come to Melbourne, I'll be wearing it. before we clock off, a couple other things as a shout out to Auckland, first season premiers already in the A-League.
Yes.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's really, unreal. They've packed out stadiums as well, week in, week out. The scenes have been awesome. They've done a really good job for their first season out. They've made it really exciting and for people to tune into, I think, as well. So, excited for the finals as well. And obviously we've had a few Western United boys on, and they've done well in the finals too. Had a result over Sydney FC recently too. So, keep it up to those boys. Hope it all goes well.
And as we get into some nicer, colder weather to the football, we'll be better because I'm, as we previously mentioned, I'm against the summer football.
Yeah.
But Auckland, unreal. First season.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Especially when you come from New Zealand and stuff like that in the A-League. Brilliant.
Big Steve Gorica.
Good.
What a coach. What a coach.
Get on the
we'll see. Put up the boots. All right. It's another week. We're gone for a little while, but we're back better than ever. Coach Son podcast. Thursday we're back. We might have some stuff lined up down the line, some exciting things. But we'll be back better than ever. Take care, everyone.
Absolutely.
Have a good week. Up the Reds. What a win. Take care.
This was not meant to happen. This could not happen.